metal
with the
arm.
little metal thing. You have to tongue at it.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheap Smut. My name is Katie Mizell.
And my name is Carl Mizell.
And this is a podcast that is high on life and cannabis. Welcome.
And not the second one at the moment. But, well, you...
Speak for yourself.
I was going to say, you are. I'm not. But I'm not a degenerate.
I am.
Yeah.
I am a massive degenerate.
I am a degenerate, but just in different ways. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But I'm good. You were out of town again for work this
Yep.
week, as is, part of the routine when you're a stay-at-home parent.
Yeah.
Sometimes your spouse has to go to work on the road. So I'm a little tired from being solo parent for a few days.
Yeah. And
But-
I was out on the road, and I had a big conference. I had
Yeah.
to work on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But at least I was here in the state. I was just...
Yeah.
Into-
And it was productive and good. I mean, it's not like
Oh,
you
yeah.
shouldn't have gone or anything.
No.
It was just,
It's hard.
it sucks
It
a little bit.
It throws the routine off.
Yeah.
But we're back.
Yeah.
We're back, and we're recording an episode of our wonderful podcast, Cheap Smut. And I think I thought now, right at the top, would be
Yeah.
a good time to tell everybody something we
Mhm.
teased a little while back at the beginning of season 2, which is that we are going to have our very first Cheap Smut guest co-host.
Yes.
You, this upcoming week, have got some dental surgery the day before we would normally record.
Yeah. I have to have a fairly major dental surgery. I likely won't be able to talk properly.
Yeah. So, with that said, I will still be in this particular... I'll still be wearing my producer hat and my co-host hat, but I will be joined by the wonderful Gwendolyn Harper.
Heck yeah, Gwenny.
Gwendolyn Harper is going to jump on and sit in for Katie, and she is going to present to me a tale, I believe, from the Creepy Court anthology, if I'm not mistaken.
When I spoke to her about it, she said she was leaning toward a Creepy Court story because there are so many good ones in there.
Yeah.
And they make great, cheap smut content, as it were.
Yeah. So next week's episode, I will be joined by Gwendolyn Harper, and I think we'll be doing a book or a story from Creepy Court. But that's kind of the fun of the show is, I'm not supposed to know all that much. I mean, I live with you.
Right.
So I ultimately, and plus I edit and co-host the show, so I know when you announce the books and you'll tell me things like you'll mention it's funny or whatever. But now I'm going to go in completely blind. And I'm not going to know diddly dick because Gwendolyn does not live here.
At least I don't think so. If she's in our attic,
Yeah.
I haven't noticed.
No. So well done, attic dwelling Gwendolyn Harper. I can't.
Where are your dogs?
I can neither confirm nor deny that Gwendolyn Harper lives in our attic.
I'd let her.
Yeah. No. I
She
mean,
could live in my attic if she needs to.
she could live in the house.
She
We're not going to
could.
make her live in the attic.
Okay.
Where's Gwen? In the shed.
It's a nice shed.
It's a very nice shed. What do we have on the agenda for this week?
For this week. This week I read actually, no. I was supposed to read Bro and the Beast, book 1 of the Wolfmates series. I read books 1 and 2 because they were so good that I just slammed right into book 2 and kept going.
And so I wanna give credit where credit is due. Listener Christy C.
Yes.
They reached out on Instagram and said, "Hey, I don't know if you're familiar with this book,
Yeah.
but I think it'd be right up Katie's alley." And I told Katie about it, and she was like, "Oh, it's on my TBR, but I'll bump it to the top." So good job, Christy C.
Yeah.
Well done, because it sounds like my wife is rather enamored with it. You said you made a 2.5 minute TikTok
I did.
wanting to like rave about how good the book was until you noticed while you were editing the captions that our daughter was tooling around naked in the background.
Yeah. I can't in good conscience release a TikTok that includes, my toddler at
Tiny
all
toddler butt.
because I don't put my kids on the internet.
Yeah.
But especially naked toddler butt.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah. It's so good. As I said in that rant that will never be posted, briefly considered going back to school to get some kind of doctorate so I could teach a class just on this book series. It's so fucking good. I loved it so much. So anyway, this was Bro and the Beast #1 by Elsie Davis. Elsie Davis is the pen name of author Joel Abernathy. Congratulations, Joel Abernathy, to be the first man to be featured as an author on Cheap Smut. Congratulations. I believe you are the first one.
Not technically true. Tiffany Roberts.
Well, yeah, but
But
confirmed man, not pen name of a duo.
okay, but
Okay,
yeah.
sure. All right, sorry. Solo man.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Solo artist.
Yeah. This is a hair I am willing to split.
Okay, we're splitting hairs. Either way, this book is book 1 of the Wolf's Mate series. All of the books are called Bro and the Beast. So this is Bro and the Beast 1. I then read Bro and the Beast 2. And next I'll read Bro and the Beast 3. There are 6 books total right now. Book 7, I didn't do this on purpose, releases on Thursday or Wednesday the 28th, I think, of February.
Okay.
So hooray, I can keep on rolling right into the newest book. I love when that happens.
Yeah.
When you happen to pick up a series right on time. I did the same thing with the Villainous Things series by C. Rochelle. I picked up Not All Himbos right after Putting Out for a Hero came out, just as she was ramping up for Enter the Multiverse. And I was like, oh, this is a great time to get on board this series.
I did that with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series.
Yeah.
I picked it up in like season. I was aware of it, but it wasn't on my radar. But I picked it up like in season 3, right as season 4 was starting. I caught a marathon or something.
Did you marathon some reruns?
I think it was on UPN still at the time.
Back when you had to marathon reruns during the day.
Yeah.
They didn't check your TV guide.
Yeah, I could have gotten the seasons on DVD, but which I ultimately did and still have somewhere in our basement, but.
We do still have one full.
Yeah, because we both had it when we started dating. We both had the Slayer collection, that big, massive.
We had the Chosen One.
Yeah.
7-box DVD set.
Yeah.
I think it's so fucking cool.
Man.
I should go back and watch Buffy.
Might be a time for a Buffy rewatch.
Yeah.
But
it forced us to confront a lot of harsh realities about both the 90s and Joss Whedon.
I know. I know for a fact that there's a lot in that show that won't hold up.
Oh, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of it that's going to be great. Like James Marsters. He'll always be there for us.
Exactly. He'll never let us down. Shout out to our good friend, James Marsters, who I say good friend. We met him once at a con. And
yeah. He gave me a hug. Therefore, we're friends.
Yep. He hugged Katie. I think we mentioned, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm familiar with your work at the Pacific Coast Playhouse. And once he realized we were theater nerds, he was like, oh, let's talk shop.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about theater a little more.
Yeah.
He was really excited that you had enjoyed the audio production of The Importance of Being Earnest that he was in.
Yeah.
You brought that up and he was like, oh, you know that. That's great.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
It was really, I got to imagine for people who are actually famous.
Yeah.
It feels nice when you tell them you're familiar with something that not a lot of people are familiar with.
Yeah. I have to imagine it feels nice if you specifically rave about a passion project or something they felt really, really good about that isn't their normal big stuff.
Yeah.
But this is Joel Abernathy writing as Elsie Davis's big stuff. So let's start talking about Bro and the Beast. Let's do this. So this book is available for $3.99 or through Kindle Unlimited. It's also available as a collected works, I think, because there's enough of them that you can buy a collection, I think. I wrote in my notes in all caps, so we're just going to say it. This book is a work of literary genius, the likes of which I have never read before. It's hilarious and also incredibly insightful. The humor is fantastic. Lots of tongue-in-cheek, trope play, and smut memes. So there are a lot of call outs to things that happen regularly in smut books in this book. Oh, it's really fun.
I love a good meta narrative.
There are some great meta jokes, but they're memes. He's memeified my smut. Bless you, Joel.
Because that's how you catch a millennial smut lover.
Absolutely.
Prop up a box with a stick and put a copy of this book under it.
If you put if this came when the series is complete, if this gets made into a big fancy hardback leather bound something really, really nice with sprayed edges and shit, you put that under a box, you could kidnap me easily. Easily.
How about I just get it for you?
You could just get it for me as well. I am technically already kidnapped because I am wed to you.
It's true.
Therefore, I am your property.
I don't feel comfortable with that.
No. Neither does the MMC of this book, but he's going to have to confront some realities. So let's begin, shall we?
All right.
Our trigger warnings this week are mild action and violence, discussion of homophobic family members attempting to force a secondary character into conversion therapy. I don't know where that happens in the book. Those are the TWs from Joel Abernathy's website, and they cover the entire series. So I've just given...
So you don't know where it happens in the series?
I don't know where it happens in the series.
Okay, because I was going to say, you read this book, right?
I did.
Because you said you don't know where it happens in this book. I was like, well, then what the fuck are we doing here?
Sorry, now, Bro and the Beast is now a book in 5 parts to me. It's just I haven't read all 5 parts yet.
Gotcha.
So these are, like I said, the trigger warnings pulled directly from the author's website. Where these elements take place in the series, I don't know yet. Our MMC this week is named Brad Miller. He is the quintessential bro. He is a proto-himbo.
He used to play for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so he
Probably
is
not the same guy.
22 years old, so probably not the same guy.
Definitely not the same guy.
He's big. He is buff. He's beautiful. He's, I guess, not quite wholesome enough to be a himbo. I think he's a little too, like, beer babes and pussy kind of for me to think of him as a true himbo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But he's great. I'm not saying he's a bad person. So he has brown hair and green eyes. He is 6'2" and 234 pounds. That's the most specific anybody's ever gotten, but he's very proud of his physique.
Okay.
He is jacked.
I was going to say, it's 6'2", 234, probably a little jacked.
Yep. He is a linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a loyal brother of the Kappa Nu fraternity. He loves beer. He loves football. He loves bitches. Like, that's Brad. That's Brad Miller. There are some elements of Brad that are toxic, but not because he is intentionally toxic, because he has fully absorbed the patriarchal ideal of masculinity.
Yeah.
And so there's some toxicity in there.
Yeah.
At the start of this book, he is hanging out in his apartment with his fraternal twin brother, Devin. So they don't look alike. Devin is a lot smaller and nerdier, and Devin is openly gay. Brad has absolutely no problem with that. Obviously, I think if you said a slur at his brother, he would deck you. Devin is reading one of his favorite books at the start of this book. He is reading The Wolf's Mate, a shifter romance between an Omega named Catalina and her alpha Raul. Catalina is described as being a petite, brunette, curvy in all the right places, a little short on features or personality traits that you could distinguish from a J. Crew catalog model. So this is a very standard, like, sort of bland FMC shifter romance. And it's Devin's favorite book.
How could somebody be curvy in the wrong places? I've always, like, curvy in all the right places, but, like, oh no.
I guess it depends on whether or not you consider any curve to be wrong in the first place.
Like, you have this weird, like, oddly curvaceous feet.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean, curvy in all the wrong places. She's got pitted edema in her ankles.
Her knees are concave.
That pitted edema joke is going to hit hard with our nurse listeners. Sorry, I just know we have a lot of nurse listeners. So,
what's the DX code for that? Do you remember the DX for that? No,
I do not remember the ICD-10 code for an edema because it would not be something I would code for as an emergency. An edema is never a reason to get in an ambulance.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite series.
Yeah. So Devin is reading his favorite series. So this is a long-form shifter romance with pack politics, vampire wars, heats, knots, all that shit.
I understood that reference.
Yes, you did. And Devin is like us. Devin, I guess like me, but I'm lumping you in here with me as well. He thinks that this work is a work of literary genius. He loves it, and he loves the escapism of it. He also builds Gundams, though, so he's like both of us.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of both of us in him.
Yeah. Brad makes fun of Devin's reading tastes, and this eventually devolves into a fight that they have, like, about their sexualities and their very different experiences of sex and romance. And how much harder it is for Devin to find love and acceptance in his sexuality because of the multitude of factors, while Brad just gets laid left and right because he's a cis straight man.
Yeah.
Who looks good, you know, and has even the smallest amount of what the children would call riz.
The children.
The children. So Devin, ultimately, what he basically just screams like, "This is my escapism. Stop making fun of it, asshole," and storms out of the apartment. Brad feels really, really bad about that, and so he starts to read this book. Initially, he's like, "Oh, what's the big fucking deal anyway?" And in the back of his mind, he's also sort of like, "I should probably read my brother's favorite thing."
Yeah. Familiarize yourself.
Yeah, so that they can have something to talk about. And then the fact that he starts enjoying the book gets completely ignored. He ends up getting so sucked into it that he is ultimately late for a party that he's supposed to go to.
Oh no, which is a major bro party foul.
Seriously, you can't be late to a Kappa Nu Rager, Brad. Come on,
Jesus
bro.
Christ. Rookie mistake.
But so Brad is loving this book. As he says in his head, he is invested, but he ain't gay. He's into the story. This is obviously a romance. He is sort of skimming through a lot of the werewolf politics, vampire wars stuff to get to the weird werewolf sex, but we're not going to think too hard about why he's so interested in that knot, you know.
As far as we know, it is his vibe, but not his jam.
It is his vibe, but not his jam. Exactly. He gets fully sucked into Catalina's story until he gets a text from his frat bro. He is supposed to be coming to this party. He's supposed to be bringing something to this party, and he is already late. Now it is raining, and he has to get on the road. So he's driving. He's like singing his favorite tunes. I don't remember what they are. Let's say Taylor Swift. And then he is in a head-on collision.
Mood shift.
Yes, a sudden, violent head-on collision with someone who is driving in the wrong lane. He's in the right lane. Someone else is in the wrong lane. He spins out, flips a few times, and goes off the road and blacks out. When he wakes up, he is on a pavement road, which is weird. And he can't quite figure out why, but it's still raining. So
why is it weird that he's on pavement road?
Because he went off of the road in his car. He figured that he would be in a ditch.
Okay.
But he's not. He has no idea where he is. He is in the middle of nowhere on some country road, nowhere near where he initially crashed. He tries to start the car that he wakes up next to. It's not his car. He just wakes up next to a random car. And he tries to start it, but it doesn't start. So he starts walking down the road until he eventually gets to a bar called Dusty's. And he's like, oh, weird. That's the name of the bar that was in The Wolf's Mate. Okay, that's where Raul and Catalina first met. He goes inside this bar. And he asks the bartender, hey, bud, where am I? You are in Heartland, Texas, the place where The Wolf's Mate is set. So now Brad thinks that he is in a coma dream because the last thing he read before he got into a major car accident was this book. Mm-hmm. Remembering that this book is set in the 80s, so he can't have any access to modern technology. It's set in like 1986 or something. He finds a payphone, figures out how to use said payphone, and tries to call his brother, but it doesn't work. And so instead he's like, okay, I guess I'm going to just lean into this dream. He orders a beer. He starts playing pool. Like, the people in this town are kind of cool, so he might as well hang out until he wakes up, until in walks Raul, the MMC from The Wolf's Mate. He is your quintessential alpha shifter werewolf MMC.
I'll just assume
So-
that everybody listening knows what that would entail.
Some
Because
of y'all will
don't.
know what that means. I'll describe him for the rest of y'all. He is a big, sexy pile of man. He is 6'7". He is muscular. At one point in, I think, book 2, Brad refers to him as a corn-fed ab monster. So he's all muscles. He dresses like a lumberjack most of the time, except in this scene, he's wearing a very sleek, tailored black suit, because of course he is, because this is the first time that the MMC is being seen. Mm-hmm. So he's wearing a really nice outfit. But he normally dresses like a lumberjack. He has sharp tan features and golden eyes, which will be referenced multiple times in one of those trope memes that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. His eyes and his smell are two things that get sort of like poked fun at a little bit.
amber spheres.
Yep. Golden discs.
There you go.
Golden discs is what they get called in the book. So Raul is the alpha of his pack, and he is also the alpha of the entire region, overseeing a 7-pack. Like,
oh, he's like the regional director.
Yeah, he's the RD. Exactly. He's overseeing these 7 packs that are all in this region that have complex political ties. He is the alpha of the alphas. So he's possessive. He's not necessarily controlling, but he's
firm but fair.
Firm but fair. God, I can't even think of how to explain what an alpha is. Yeah. So it's, you know what, when you see it.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So Raul sees Brad from across the bar and immediately starts approaching him. Brad tries to leave, but he can't because Raul's like right there, faster than he should be.
Now, do we get any indication that Brad knows who this is?
Yes.
Okay.
Brad knows exactly what's going on, but again, he thinks he's in a dream right now.
But he does immediately.
He recognizes Raul.
Yeah, he
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how many dudes who walk in who are 6'7" with long, wavy, dark hair and piercing golden eyes? At one point in the book, I think Brad even thinks to himself, how are everyone's eyes so sharp in this universe? Because again, they're always piercing or stabbing.
Yeah.
So Raul is immediately like the alpha wolf MMC that we would expect him to be when approaching an Omega.
Mm-hmm.
He is intense. He's growly. He gets right up in Brad's business, and he's all like silken voice and warm amber eyes and all that shit, And Brad is feeling all of the things that one might expect an Omega to feel when meeting their alpha. So he's weak in the knees. He feels suddenly very calm and safe and relaxed. His heart is fluttering. Sparks fly when their skin touches. But he dismisses all of this as being just random shit that's happening to his body.
I'm sure that's nothing. I'm sure this isn't something being awakened inside me.
Exactly. There is no awakening. He'll bash it over the head with a hammer to keep it asleep. He has to. Raul treats him the same way an alpha would treat an Omega, which does not sit well with Brad because, again, he is uber bro. Mm-hmm. This becomes an ongoing dilemma for him throughout the books that I have read so far. He often catches Raul staring at him in a way that makes him uncomfortable. And by that, I mean like he's really cute, like he's adorable. Mm-hmm. Like he just wants to hug him and squeeze him. And Brad's like, stop it. He really can't take. He really can't take that people look at him like he's weak in any way. Yeah. Brad's going to go on a whole journey.
Oh, I bet. It's not weakness, buddy.
It's not. It's not weakness. Brad ultimately ends up pushing his way out of this bar and out into the parking lot, but he's immediately met by some dudes who try to start some shit. And he is defending himself perfectly well, getting ready to punch a guy when Raul sweeps in exactly as you would expect your werewolf MMC to protect an Omega in distress. But Brad is not an Omega in distress. Like Raul...
I'm just loving it. Like, I fucking had it, man.
Seriously, no, like he picks a guy up by the neck and he's like, "Is this what you like to do with your time? You like to pick on the weak?" And the guy's like, "He's bigger than me. What are you talking about? He's jacked." Brad was fine, but Raul is having an alpha's response to an Omega being in danger, and it's all very confusing for everyone.
Sorry.
It's very, very funny to me.
I can't help myself. I'm an alpha.
Seriously. Ultimately, what ends up happening here is Raul invites Brad back inside to have a beer and a conversation. And Brad's like, sweet, free beer. So he goes in, he starts chugging beers.
I would too.
And Raul gathers some basic information about like Brad's basic understanding of shifter packs. He understands what's going on with like alphas and betas and omegas and the vampire war and the shifter alliances. He understands all of that, but he is human. Yeah. And that's weird.
Does Raul find it weird that he knows this stuff, or is just Raul explaining it to him?
No, Brad is explaining this to Raul.
Oh, okay.
And Raul's not entirely sure why Brad knows this stuff.
Okay.
But he does know that Brad is an Omega. He senses that Brad is an Omega. So he's not like, I can't tell him anything because he's human. He knows shit. He's an Omega, so we're going with this. Raul implies, without saying, what we already know to be true and what Brad is already suspecting, which is that Brad is his fated Omega. He has no idea how or why a human Omega exists at all, but Raul's going with it because this is shifter culture 101. You meet your fated, you imprint, that's it. You're done. So he's just all in 100%. And Brad's like, get me out of this fucking city, little town in Texas, wherever he is.
Hamlet, unincorporated village.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. I just really started laughing at the idea of it being a hamlet and I couldn't stop.
That's fine.
Because I picture a hamlet to be like little thatched cottages surrounded by pretty flowers. And this is like a Dust Bowl town in the 80s. And I love that it's both of those things now in my head.
It could be both.
It absolutely is. Raul is just rolling with this. His previously assumed straightness be damned as well, by the way. He doesn't... Omegas can be any gender. He thought he was straight. It doesn't matter now. His Omega's a dude.
Shifter's going to shift.
Shifter's going to shift. We're done. Brad does not like the implications of what is happening here now that he's starting to understand a little bit. So he tries to leave, but of course he has nowhere to go. So Raul offers to take him back to his incredibly fancy, expensive mansion in the woods. To get there, they drive his incredibly expensive, fancy car and park it in his incredibly expensive, fancy garage full of incredibly fancy, expensive cars because they're also billionaires. Because of course they are.
You like my Trans Am? I just got the T-tops. Because it's 1985.
Holy shit, is that a Pinto? Fuck. So cool. Brad is actually very interested in a vintage sports car that Raul has, because Brad is a part-time mechanic. He's really into cars.
All right.
So now Raul has an in. Brad likes cars. Okay. He starts rubbing his hands together trying to figure out how he can spoil his Omega with cars, because of course he will. Alpha's gonna alpha all fucking day. So they get to this house. It is this huge mansion. It's secluded in the middle of the woods because of course it is. Raul's inner circle all lives here, and in the incorporated land all of his pack lives.
I'm just imagining he's gonna show Brad, and this is where your nest will be.
Yeah.
What the?
That is the one thing that we don't have in this one. He doesn't nest. There's no
okay.
nesting, which is kind of sad. I like nests. Like I like nests as a trope or an element of the Omegaverse.
Because Brad's nest would just look like that meme, like guys live like this and think it's okay. Like it'd just be a TV on milk crates, lawn chair. Raul would be like, "What the fuck is this?" It's my nest, bro.
Protein powder piled up in the corner.
Yep. Just stacks of protein powder and prime energy.
His nest is a gym. It's a full gym.
My nest would be
Your nest is a gym. It definitely is. If you ever go into heat and I have to build you a gym.
Yeah. You just might.
I'll do it for you, baby.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. They get Brad a change of clothes, and they have an argument about Brad's Omega status. Brad really does not like being treated like a delicate and special thing. Like in the world of shifters or Omegaverses, Omegas are cherished and sheltered and loved. And Brad cannot be that thing.
Yeah. Because
toxic masculinity prevents it. He can't do it. This argument that he is having with Raul is interrupted by the arrival of Lenore, who is a beta and in Raul's inner circle, and Brad's favorite character from the books. She is described as...
It's so weird to meet that person.
I know, right? But he's in these books, and he's like, that's Lenore. I like her. She's cool. She's kind of a badass. She is a big titty goth with a black belt and a degree in microbiology.
Wow.
Fuck yeah. She's cool as hell. Lenore has come to inform Raul that there has been some kind of intrusion at their border, and he has to go and figure that out. He leaves and tells Lenore to keep Brad on lockdown. Brad's like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm massive. You tiny. I try to move you. But she and everyone else around him are all werewolves with supernatural strength. So she puts him on his ass.
Yeah.
And he's immediately a little emasculated.
I was going to say turned on.
No, this isn't a femdom book. Otherwise, he would be full mommy mode by now. But
I didn't mean like full on femdom. I just mean like that's kind of like, all right, I see you. All right.
Do I need to beat you up a little?
No.
Is that what you're telling me? Okay, cool.
No, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm just saying I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. I get it. You get just like half a chub because she kicked your ass and you respect it.
Yeah. You get knocked on your ass and your pants get a little tight in the front.
Yeah.
It happens.
Okay, I get it. I mean, I don't get it because I don't have a penis. But
that's true.
It's whatever. So Brad's perspectives are starting to shift in terms of like he's no longer the big tough guy anymore, and that's hard for him to deal with. He does storm out of the room eventually and try to leave the building, but he is met by several other characters that he has met in the book, including Raul's brother Curtis and the twin enforcers Matthew and Blade. That's why I couldn't remember it, because it was Blade. And he tries to get out of the front door but can't even make it there before he is sedated by Dr. Wilson, referred to in the books as Dr. Dreamy. He's like, fuck, Dr. Dreamy got me, shit. And they drag him off to the infirmary. Raul comes back. He is initially very mad that his Omega has been sedated, because you're not supposed to do shit like that to an Omega. They're delicate and fragile. No, he's 235 pounds of American grain-fed beef.
Yeah,
he's fine.
We had to use extra.
Yeah. We had to get the big darts out.
The 0 gauge.
Good news is we used it as a biopsy punch, too, and that mole's fine.
Yeah, so he's unconscious, and that's benign.
But ultimately, Dr. Wilson is like, well, what did you want? He wanted to leave the building. Did you want us to tackle him? Because that was the other option. Well, you can't do that either. You can't physically assault the Omega. So Raul's between a rock and a hard place. While Brad is sedated, Dr. Wilson and Raul have a conversation where Dr. Wilson confirms he has no lupine antigen, so he may be a latent wolf or actually a human, but Brad is definitely an Omega. He's got all of the chemical markers. The blood work confirms it.
Wow.
Brad's an Omega. He's also perfectly healthy otherwise, so that's great. Hell yeah.
He's literally been tested
literally been tested.
Yep.
Yeah, and he is an Omega. Raul is like, okay, great. I will definitely figure out how to handle this, because that's not going to make him happy at all.
How do I tell this human that he has to be, he's mine?
He's mine.
I have to.
How do I tell him that our fates are intertwined?
Yeah.
He doesn't understand.
He is not. He doesn't seem that bright. I don't think he's going to take this well.
He does not take it well. And he's not that bright. God bless him. I love him. But he doesn't think reindeer are real.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that CTE is already starting to set in. A lot of medical jargon flying around this episode.
Oh, it makes us sound so smart and not like assholes who read porn for fun.
It can be both.
We can. And we are.
Yeah, there you go.
Brad wakes up eventually and is briefly very excited because he's in a hospital bed. So he thinks that he woke up. But no, he's still in this world.
Poor Brad.
He and Dr. Wilson have a conversation that is peppered with a lot of great information and jokes, but it basically amounts to, you are an Omega, and because Raul is the big alpha in charge of the region, you're his property now. Brad don't likey.
Yeah.
I know likey. Nobody should be anybody's property.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, to Brad,
yeah,
the doctor just said, so you're this man's bitch.
Yeah.
That's what Brad here.
He owns you. You're his bitch. And Brad, no.
We would never use such nomenclature. But
absolutely not. But that's what Brad heard.
But that's what Brad heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, Dr. Wilson tells Brad that no matter whether he is happy or sad about his situation currently, not to leave, because about half of the cops are on the payroll. So they'll just get him back. Yikes, bikes. Thanks for the ethics challenge there, Dr. Wilson.
Listen,
Dr. Wilson is Brad's least favorite character in the books.
That's fair. I'm not a big fan either. Well,
He's kind of a dick. I'm not a big fan either.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It sounded like you were going to say more stuff.
I was going to, and then I didn't.
Okay, so we'll just move on. Raul eventually returns and takes Brad to go for a walk because he's getting a little cooped up in the infirmary, and Raul is very worried about his Omega's mental well-being. So he takes him out a side door directly into a hedge maze. Welcome to the third hedge maze of Chief Smut's tenure.
Is this a trope?
Is this a trope, or hedge maze is a trope, or is this a smut meme?
Yeah.
Is the hedge maze a smut meme?
Is this a hedge maze?
So Raul has brought Brad specifically to the hedge maze because it's outside so he can get some fresh air, but he can't run away.
And you know, I was traveling for work. I was traveling for work with a coworker, and I saw a gas station with a sign that said, basically it said, "Don't shoot fireworks off within 300 feet of this building," which reminds me of something my mom always used to say, was that if you see a sign, there's a story behind the sign. There's a hedge maze outside this hospital because people have tried to run away from this hospital. They built this hedge maze with the express purpose of keeping people from running away.
It's not a hospital. It's the infirmary inside of Raul's mansion in the woods.
Same story.
But still,
yeah.
There's a hedge maze there because sometimes you need to keep people from running away.
Yeah. Let's get you some fresh air.
You need some enrichment in the hedge maze?
Yeah. You get to the center of the maze, and there's a giant human-sized hamster wheel.
Oh, that's so nice. Great big cookie.
Great big
hamster
cookie. One of those big giant water bottles
Yep,
with the metal
with the little
arm.
metal thing. You have to tongue at it.
Let's see here. I just want to make a note of what time that happened. Because I just want to know where to go immediately to pull that for the cold open.
Excellent. So Raul and Brad walk this hedge maze and they have a conversation. And ultimately what it leads to is Brad tells Raul everything. He is in a book. Raul is from a book. He's made up. He's not even real. They're all inside of Brad's coma dream.
I don't know how to tell you this, bro.
And you're supposed to be with a woman named Catalina. But she's not here. And I'm here. Brad tells Raul that his real fated mate needs to come and they need to get Brad out so that Catalina can come back so that they can continue the story, because Raul is meant to imprint on a woman as far as Brad knows or is concerned. Brad at this moment is unaware that shifter Omegas can be any gender.
Mm-hmm.
It has not even occurred to him really that he is an Omega. Like, it hasn't sunk in.
Yeah.
So when Raul counters, he didn't imprint on Catalina, he imprinted on Brad. And Brad is the main character now. Brad does not know how to react to that. And he doesn't really want to believe it, even the littlest bit. So ultimately what he decides is this. He has a working memory of everything that Catalina did and said, her whole backstory. And beyond that, he knows a lot of information about what's happening in this world that he shouldn't know. Mm-hmm. So he tries to convince Raul that he's from outside because he has all of this information. And Raul's like, or you're from this world. And I know you are, because we captured a prisoner trying to enter our territory earlier today. And he asked for you by name and gave a description of you down to the letter. So Brad is not just in this world. He has replaced the FMC. Everyone's memories of this story have changed just to turn Brad into Catalina, or Catalina into Brad. That's it. Brad's the FMC now. It's fucking brilliant. It's genius. I love it so much.
That was a hell of a car crash. How fast was he going?
I know, right? But it's so good.
He got displaced in time and space.
In time and space. Oh, so God damn it. It's so good. So after hearing all of this from Brad's perspective, Raul now believes that Brad, who is from the Blue Fang Pack, as far as he is concerned, because that's where Catalina was from. Now Brad's just been put in this role. Brad is now from the Blue Fang Pack. The Blue Fang Pack are terrible. They're bad. We don't like them. Whatever happened to Brad while he was there has caused him to go full psychotic break and believe that he is someone else and that he is not even from this world. That's what Raul thinks. So he's going to spend the next however fucking long tiptoeing around trying to make sure he doesn't break his poor Omega's fragile psyche because he thinks that this guy is insane.
Yeah. And understandably so.
Yeah. Honestly, that's fine. That's fine. You should think he's a little crazy. I think Brad spends a lot of time thinking he's a little crazy. So you know what? Yeah, everybody gets a little pass.
Hey, join the club.
So what ends up happening at the end of this conversation, besides the fact that Raul now thinks his Omega is certifiable, is Brad asks to go and see the prisoner that they captured who asked for him. Raul is like, no, never. My Omega can't be put in any danger. And Brad
can't be within 5,000 feet of a bad guy.
And Brad's like, is he in your custody or not? Because if I can't even be in the same room as him when he is in your custody, can you really keep me safe? Fuck, you got a point.
Oh.
Shit.
Wow.
God damn it.
Already learned how to push them alpha buttons.
Fuck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. And also, if Raul is insisting on building trust because he's his Omega and he imprinted and blah, 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 then maybe show him a little bit of trust and take him to see the prisoner. So Raul takes him. And as a sort of apology / alpha present, he lets Brad drive that fancy sports car all the way to the prison that they have also in the middle of nowhere. They have a whole prison. Sure. A whole prison.
This forest is not zoned for prison.
There is a giant forest in Texas that's just full of mansions and prisons and werewolves.
Shit, maybe that's your cold open. I don't know.
Once they arrive at this prison, Brad is taken to see Trent, another character that he remembers from these books, Catalina's, and now I guess his lovesick beta best friend from the Blue Fang pack. We've introduced a love triangle character already. God damn it. It's so good. Ugh, it's so good. Brad talks to Trent, and Trent says that he came here to rescue Brad because the story in Blue Fang is that Brad was kidnapped, blah, 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 blah. It's a whole thing with shifter politics, and it's ugly. Trent is very upset that Brad left. He just left the pack without telling anyone. And Brad's like, no, I fucking didn't. I wasn't even here yesterday, etc. But nobody understands that. So he just goes with it. And eventually he's like, okay, if I'm going to be in this book for a little while, maybe I can change some things. In the story that I read, Trent got killed. Maybe I can make sure Trent doesn't die. So he tells Trent to hang in tight and not make any stupid decisions before he leaves with Raul to go back home. Raul hopes that seeing Trent will be enough to start breaking Brad out of whatever like fugue state he happens to be in, but it doesn't work. And that sucks. But it also doesn't matter because as soon as they get back in the car, Brad starts feeling a little warm, a little uncomfortable, and he starts smelling absolutely fucking incredible. And he starts going into heat right there in that car.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yes, this is fantastic. Because of course they would. Of course they would throw him directly into heat. That's perfect.
Oh, no.
It's perfect. So they drive all the way back home, and Raul controls himself to the best of his ability because all he wants to do is tackle Brad and fuck him until he can't walk anymore, but he won't do that. They get back home, they get into the garage. Brad starts walking into the house, and then he collapses in the garage, and Raul rushes him to the infirmary to Dr. Wilson, who basically says, yeah, you're in heat, those are cramps. Oh, Brad, do you have crampies? I'm sorry, that one scene, I was just like, good. I hope it fucking hurts, because menstrual cramps suck balls, and
oh, I can imagine
people like Brad don't get to experience that. They suck. So Brad is very uncomfortable. There's no other signs of disease or infection. Dr. Wilson double checks everything. Brad is definitely in heat. And there's no denying it because he's in actual physical discomfort. Mm. So he's like, okay, this dream is really fucking realistic, I guess. What are we going to do now? I'm in a lot of pain. Dr. Wilson gives him some pain medication, tells him you're going to have to sleep it off. The only surefire, real way to get a heat to go away is to get knotted. Brad's not going to do that. Absolutely not. He's going to take the stupid fucking pills and he's going to go back to his stupid fucking room and he's going to take a stupid fucking nap with a stupid fucking heating pad.
I'll take the 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, please.
That's
and
exactly
thank
what's
you.
going to happen. There was a moment in this scene when Brad was first told that he could get the heat to go away by having sex, where his initial thought was, fantastic, I'm going to go find the big titty goth chick and have some sex to get it out of my system. And then Dr. Wilson had to clarify, well, number one, somebody had to hold Raul back because the implication that Brad would have sex with anybody else was not vibing well with him. And Dr. Wilson had to explain that you can't fuck this out of anyone. This has to be fucked out of you.
Yeah.
And Brad, that's what Brad's really not comfortable with.
And your omussy, I don't know what we'd call that. Or how shifty is Brad getting here? Am I reading ahead? Am I going too far?
I'm sorry, did you just say bussy?
Bussy? I don't know. Is that a thing the kids still say?
Yeah. I think they still say bussy. I'm not sure. I don't know. But you did just remind me that our 5-year-old said the word bussy to me the other day.
That's right.
And it almost broke me. I thought I was going to like explode a lung trying not to laugh. I was like, where the fuck did you hear that word? And I guess he just heard it at school or something stupid.
You can't laugh because then he's gonna ask why you're laughing.
And then he's going to say it a bunch of times because it made you laugh.
Yep.
Because his goal in life is to make me laugh all the time. And I bless him for it, but
yeah.
He thinks he said it was a made up word and it didn't mean anything. It just sounded funny.
I mean,
so there you go.
Yep.
Okay.
It is technically a made up word.
Fine.
It does technically mean something. We all know what it means.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. Back in the room, Brad is absolutely losing it. Yes, he is physically uncomfortable, but he is also the horniest he has ever been in his entire life, and that's saying something. So he's like writhing around on the bed. He really doesn't want to take the pills that he was given because he doesn't want to take he's like, I'm already in a dream. I don't want to get fucked up in a dream.
Right.
So I'm just going to have to ride this shit out. But he's jumpy. He is volatile. He is acting exactly as we might expect an Omega in Heat to act if we've read our Omegaverse books and know how Omegas act. And then he has this sort of realization. If he is having a dream, then there is some deeply latent part of his psyche that wants to be an Omega. That's why he's dreaming about this. Like, he is psychologically, he's analyzing himself to death, but that's what he's landed on.
Oh, he retained something from that Gen Ed freshman year.
What he said, he was awake for half of Psych 101.
There you go.
So he picked up some of it.
Yep.
He admits to himself for the first time in this scene that there is a very deeply suppressed part of him that wants all of this. It's barely a grain of sand in terms of, like, he has suppressed all of this, but he's going to go with it now because he's already in the dream, and God damn it, he's so fucking horny. The horny takes over. He leans into all of it, and Raul smells amazing, and his touch soothes Brad's burning skin and all of that stuff. The thought of the knot is the most appealing thing that has ever, like, crossed his mind. And so he asks Raul, can you do this without making it weird?
Well, yeah.
And Raul's like, well, first of all, what do you mean by weird?
Yeah.
And Brad says, like, sappy and romantic and emotional. Raul's not really sure if that's possible, but okay, he'll try. And it's not like Brad's going to... He's already doing this. Like, Brad has decided that this is happening.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's negotiating a Tinder hookup. Like, no
but
kissing.
He is. He's trying to negotiate his way around what he feels ashamed about. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of all of this, what is tearing him up more than anything is this insidious feeling that he has about getting fucked.
Yeah.
About being the receiver and not the yeah. There is some internalized homophobia at play here. There's some toxic masculinity at play here. There's a lot of weird stuff happening inside of Brad right now. But the overarching thing is this extreme horny attachment that he has to Raul, and that he can explain away with Omega biology. So that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The Omega needs to get fucked, so the Omega's going to get fucked. And whatever Brad wants, whatever, doesn't matter. He's going to have to go through so much therapy. Brad, go to therapy. Please go to dream therapy. Please. But ultimately, what ends up happening is they start kissing. It's immediately amazing. Raul's kisses are incredible. His body makes Brad drool. I think this is where he calls him a corn-fed ab monster. He starts really getting into it, and then he's wondering, like, why does he melt when Brad nuzzles his neck like that, and why does the idea of taking the knot make him whimper like that, and why is he feeling so submissive very suddenly? And holy fuck, dude, like, holy fucking shit, this sex scene was so good. It was really, really good. So it was intimate, it was passionate, it was sexy, it was vulnerable. The whole thing was really, really well written. Good job, Joel. So first there's a blow job, and then there is a rim job. And again, let's be reminded, this is Raul's first time doing anything with a man as well, and Raul is just diving right into it. He does not care. So again, blow job, rim job, and ultimately Brad gets fucked. And he loves it. After he is first very put off by the fact that he has a self-lubricating asshole now.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course he does, because he's an Omega. And the fact that, again, he's a bottom and he's loving being a bottom.
Mm-hmm.
He has to get over that a little bit too. But in top-notch smut fashion, Raul is the gentle, caring, firm lover that you need him to be. He helps Brad through all of this. He's very gentle. He's fantastic. The sex is so good. Ultimately, Brad ends up taking the knot like an absolute champ. They're coming, they're screaming. It's wonderful, fantastic, hooray. And they come down from all of that, and Brad's like, that was pretty much worth it, even though I am going to have to be like stuck with this guy now, because the knot's going to stay in him for at least an hour. Mm-hmm. That's how the knot works. Brad's cool with all of that. That is until the moment that Raul points out something that Brad had not considered up to this point. Omega is a sex. It's not a gender or a sexuality. It is a sex. And so Omegas, as we would say scientifically, have certain phenotypical characteristics, including a womb. Every Omega, regardless of gender or primary sex expression, has a womb. And Brad's an Omega in heat who just got knotted by his alpha. So there is a higher than average chance that he is pregnant. And he tells Raul as soon as he gets his knot out, he better run, because Brad's going to fucking kill him. And that is the end of book 1.
That was Bro and the Beast by Joe Penhall. He wrote the play. I did an actor's studio.
Oh yeah, birthday.
Birthday, yeah.
Yeah,
where
the Mpreg scene,
yeah,
where you gave birth.
Where I gave birth, yeah. Which is a fun scene. I never did read the whole play, but the scene was excellent. Wow, that was a lot. I'm so glad that's where it ended. Not because I wasn't enjoying myself,
but because it was a lot.
It was so much. But just trying to I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's happening. Like, what is going on?
I'm still trying to figure out what's happening.
But I'm having a really good time.
Yeah. I am legitimately continuing to read this book at this point. Because it is amazing. Again, it's so good. It's so good. It's hilarious. It's so funny. The writing is really good. The dialogue is really good. All those things that I can't tell you, go buy it, read it. It's worth it. But also, I am reading it just because I need to know whether or not Brad's going to ever go back to the real world.
Yeah.
That's what is he, because there is enough of an argument made by enough people in the world that we have inhabited so far in this story that Brad is an incredibly traumatized, latent Omega wolf who has been in a bad pack for a long time, and now he has completely separated himself from his reality by inventing the character of Catalina. That actually makes perfect sense. Is that what's actually happening?
I mean, when you say it like that, yeah, that makes sense.
I hope it is. And yet I hope it isn't, because he loves his brother very much and he wants to get back to his brother. And if he never does, he'll be very sad.
But
maybe his brother's not real.
Maybe his brother's not real. And the good news is that whatever is going on, he seems to be pretty into it.
Oh, transition.
But what are you into?
Nice one. This week, I am into cozy murder mystery television.
Okay.
You know, specifically the British stuff. So while you were out of town, my mom came and visited me.
Yep.
She stayed the night, helped me take care of the kids, and hung out.
Go ahead. I think I might know what you're gonna say.
And she watched, as usual, one of her many comfort shows, Miss Marple.
Oh, was that what I was expecting?
Poirot?
No, it's the I saw
Rosemary and Thyme.
No, I've been seeing ads on Reddit for a new season of Death in Paradise.
Oh no, not Death in Paradise either.
But it's not the
That's
same.
right.
It's not the same actor.
No, it's not.
They've replaced him.
Yeah. Well, he would be the third DC.
Oh, they rotate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe you watched that, but it was Miss Marple.
I've seen all of Death in Paradise so far. I didn't realize there was more, so that's exciting. But so it was Miss Marple, which is, if my mother was a millennial, I would say it is her comfort show. But because she is a boomer, there's nothing on television anymore. So she just watches what she likes. We call that a comfort show, Mom. And I love watching Miss Marple. It's so much fun. It's just so nice.
It's a great show.
It's just some nice British person gently solving a crime that happened in the upper class. Like
gently solving a horrific crime.
It's horrific, but also I'm pretty good at separating myself from it, because most of the people who get killed in these shows are rich.
Oh, yeah. Well, that helps.
You know, it's a little harder to care about the rich. I'm sorry. It is.
It just is.
It just is. If it was just, Kareem from down the street, I would care more. But because it's, Lola Abernathy the 17th, owner of Doncaster or whatever, I don't care. Miss Marple's going to solve her murder. It's going to be fine.
Don't worry. Don't overthink this, guys.
Don't overthink it.
It'll be fine.
Anyway, now that I've gone off on a tangent about that, what are you into, my love?
That's a great question. I was trying to figure out who I was looking for. I was thinking of the show with Essie Davis in it, where she played like the socialite who was also a detective.
Oh,
you know the one.
Yes, Miss.
Yeah, it's right on the I'm trying to see if I could.
Miss Fisher.
Miss Fisher, yes, Miss Fisher.
Murder Mysteries.
Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries.
Yeah.
Yes, the amazing Essie Davis.
God bless. God, that woman. She's so pretty.
It's offensive.
She's so pretty.
It's offensive.
She's so pretty.
It's
I'm
upsetting.
not offended. I'm not.
No.
She's just pretty.
Like how
I like
dare
looking
you?
at her face.
That's fair. I was driving all over the place, and I was really busy for work, so I didn't have a lot of time to really think about this. But when I was driving back home, I was like, well, let's take it back, because we started doing this segment after I became enamored with Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
And so I was gonna. I don't think we've ever talked about Chainsaw Man. So Chainsaw Man is started out as a manga. It's now an anime. I know we've talked about it on the show. I feel like we've had to have talked about it on the show, but it's a poor kid named Denji. He's like 15 or 16 years old. Just a horrific life, and he dies. But he dies. But he dies.
It's a horrific life of extreme poverty. Let's start there.
Well, I didn't want to get too far into it, because why is he in extreme poverty? Well, because blah blah blah. Because his dad has debts, and then his dad, in order to escape his debts, unalived himself, and so now the people that his dad owed debts to are making Denji pay off the debts. Mm-hmm. I didn't really want to get too deep into it, but. And one of the things he does is, in this world there are creatures called devils, and he kills low-level devils to get money. Well, he ultimately dies, but a devil, a cute little dog named Pochita that has a chainsaw for a nose, bonds with him and basically brings him back to life. And now Denji is a devil, but he's also a human, and he has a pull cord sticking out of his chest, and whenever he pulls on it, he becomes Chainsaw Man, and he has chainsaw sticking out of his feet and his hands and his face, and it's metal as fuck.
It is.
I was reminded of it because Kirsten Rhea from Miss Mojo, and she used to do some of the other videos. She's also a cosplayer. She did an excellent Power cosplay, the character Power from the manga in the anime. And so if you have access to Crunchyroll or Shonen Jump, and or if you want to go out and get some of the collected manga or check out the anime, I highly recommend it. I'm thinking about rewatching it. It's been a while since we watched it. So
I would love to rewatch it. I enjoy Chainsaw Man very much. And I didn't think I would, but it is damn good.
It's so fucking good.
Yes. The art style I really enjoy as well.
So that's what I'm into. And I would normally ask you here what we're reading next week, but we don't know.
No, we don't know. I'm not reading. Well, I know what I'm reading next week. I'm continuing to read Bro and the Beast.
Yeah.
And the Dvergar Mine series, because I read Bonita and the Beast while you were gone as well. And that was very, very good. Shout out to the Dvergar Mines. Love you, gray motherfuckers.
Well, we'll figure out what you're going to read for the show in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, you can find us on social media. We are on Instagram and TikTok at Cheap Smut. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so, cheapsmutpod@gmail.com. If you would like to support this author, you can go to our link tree, and the top link will be the link to this book. It is not a sponsored ad or anything like that. We don't get any money for it. We're just trying to help the authors out. The music that you hear in this and every episode is called Nostalgia by Mackay Beats. You can find it along with thousands of other songs free of charge for you to use at the Free Music Archive, freemusicarchive.org. Thank you very much for listening and supporting the show. But if you would like to support the show financially and have the means to do so for only $1 on patreon.com, you can support Smutco Industries just like Stephanie Hawkins, Gemma, Lady Squishy Buns, Tia Esk, Rob Gatika, Angela McNichols, Katie Hurd, Gwendolyn Harper, Seneca O, and Rebecca K. I always feel like I'm forgetting something here, but I don't think that I am.
I don't think you are.
Well then, let's put this baby to bed.
All right. Listener, if there is a book in you, write it. And if there's fucking in it, I'll read it.
And then she will come on this show and explain it to me for your entertainment.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.